Coming up next, we're bringing up three folks to do some quick lightning talks on designing performant user experiences. So we have Lauren and Angana and Ryan headed up. I'll hand it over to Lauren.
Thank you. Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Mallers. I am a mobile lead here at Google for the consumer goods, restaurants, and auto clients. And today I'm here to talk to you about being useful. So what exactly does this mean? And before we dive in, I want everyone to take a step out of their marketing hats or their designer hats or whatever it is that you do day to day and step into the role of a consumer again. Think about everything that you've done online this past week, everything that you've searched for, everything that you've watched, everything that you've purchased. And while you're racking your brains for the last week of information, because I have trouble remembering what I ate for breakfast, I'll give you a peek into one of my previous weeks to help visualize this a little more. So I asked Google to turn off my living room TV. I searched for some things that I was in the market for, like an SPF baby tent, a travel car seat. I looked up the time of the Cubs game I was going to with my team later that week. I logged into my diaper subscription account. I bought a festive onesie for my son. I emailed a contractor. I watched The Bachelorette. I looked for flight prices on Expedia. And I asked Google to play my Discover Weekly playlist on Spotify. So what does all this matter, besides giving you way more information than you ever asked to know about me, is think about everything that I did this week or that you did this week. Everything provided us with some level of utility. It solved a problem, it answered a question, it fulfilled a need. And as consumers, we expect experiences like this. We expect to get things done quickly, we expect them to be easy, and overall, we expect them to be useful. So as you think about how to convert more of your customers, as we're here to do the rest of today and tomorrow, I invite you to think about it through the lens of providing more usefulness to your users. Because just as we saw from my week, and just as Jane mentioned earlier this morning, we are interacting with so many different platforms across the web throughout our day and our weeks. And no matter what vertical or industry you're in or what product or service that you are selling, we're always competing with the best experience that customer has ever had. I expected my diaper experience to be just as good, if not better, than my experience with Spotify that knew exactly what I had been listening to the previous week to make a curated playlist for me so that I didn't have to think about it. So if we apply this theory to our user journey, there's four main areas where a user can experience friction and where you as a brand have the opportunity to provide a little bit more usefulness. So when they search, when they click, when they land, and when they leave. And we'll go through each one of these and some examples. So when they search, consumers are expecting you to directly answer their question almost as if it's an in-person chat with a friend. And we like to start with search because, as Michael Scott has once said, you miss 100% of the conversions that you don't take. We say this a lot at Google, but if you're not there, someone else will be there. And it's not enough to just simply show up anymore. We need to think about search as more of a conversation with your customers versus a place to just highlight your slogan or highlight the latest sale. As a brand, those things are really important, but as a consumer, we expect more, right? So if we even forget about the ad side of it for a second and replay the week that I just shared with you, when I asked Google what time the Cubs game was later that week, Google told me it was 7:05. Nothing more, nothing less, just the answer. And we saw that in the previous presentation as well. And this is what being useful looks like. It's the level of usefulness that searchers expect from their advertisers. So Olay tested this and swapped their more generic messaging with user language in the headlines. So when someone searched for under eye bags, instead of telling them we have eye products, Olay told them we can help you with your under eye bags and we have the exact right product for you. And the rate at which people clicked on this ad went up 87%. Their costs went down by 30%, and the on-site conversions went up 100%. So really great results just by simply tweaking some of the messaging in that ad. So if we're moving along the consumer journey, They've asked you the question, you've answered it directly, and now they're ready to click on your ad. We now need to think about how quickly we're loading that content for them. So as we've heard throughout the day, we only have about 3 seconds before the user will get impatient. And if you think about it, would you wait in a line like this? And if you would wait, or if you had to wait in a line like this, would you be happy about it? Probably not. So site speed is a crucial piece to consider when it comes to being useful to your customers. So an example of this is that Wayfair knew that speed was crucial, but found that every time they implemented speed optimizations on their site, as soon as another team member added something else, they saw regression. So they created a performance budgeting system to help their teams balance feature work with performance and technical debt work. They created an internal portal that was available to everyone in the company to easily access and identify where they were against that budget on that page. And budget here meaning number of assets, the page weight, the number of tags. And what made this strategy so successful was really socializing this throughout the company and making it available to everyone. And since they've moved to this approach, their speed index on the homepage has decreased 60%, and year over year, the conversion rate has gone up 10%. Another example of speed improvements is if we take a look at BMW's Road to a Faster site. They were looking to build their new global website and had 4 goals in mind as they were building. The first was speed, the second and third was speed, and the fourth was to create a dynamic and useful marketing outlet using consumer insights. They chose to use progressive web app technology along with accelerated mobile pages to make sure that that experience was fast and reliable to their customers. This new site loads 3 times as fast, and the number of people clicking from BMW.com to a BMW sales site went up from 8% to 30%. So moving along our very simplified user journey, they've searched, you've answered their question, we've loaded the content really quickly, and now they are hoping for a beautiful and easy experience navigating the website. This starts with landing the consumer on the most relevant landing page, and then also means making that navigation and conversion experience as easy and seamless as possible. Unfortunately, most websites aren't like the beautiful and clean house that we want. They're like the cluttered house that we have. Things are all over the place, it's a little hard to find anything, and overall it's a little stressful. So this is important to think about because we've seen that 1/3 of smartphone users will actually immediately go to another website if they can't find what they need on yours. And so thankfully, just like at home, it doesn't take too much to do a little cleanup. So here's an example of Ashley Furniture, who knew that cleaning up was important and evaluated and redesigned a few key customer experiences on their mobile site, including the cart to checkout flow. So they used best-in-class design principles coupled with progressive web app technology to make these experiences more useful and intuitive to their users. And so despite the differences in the before and after screenshots that you see here, that process is still the same number of steps. In the after shot, they've used better use of their visual space to consolidate that same number of processes into 3 pages instead of 5. And it's an easy to follow guide that guides the user all the way through that conversion, through the end. And then this next example I love because it doesn't always take an entire site redesign to make some true impact. So Eastpak tested several smaller UX changes, including better site search, use of colors, more definitive calls to action, and saw real improvements as well. So a simple change from a ghost button, which you'll see on the very left there, to a button of contrasting colors improved the click-through rate on their main call to action on their site by 20%. And then similarly, changing the checkout button color from black to orange, just to make it stand out a little bit more, increased their conversion rate by 12%. So again, it doesn't take a full site redesign to make some real impact on your website, and you can start testing with limited resources. So finally, our user has gotten all the way through a very useful, fast, and frictionless process with your brand. And the final experience, or the final step, is to make sure that we're using that experience to learn more about them. There's so much that your customer has just shared with you in how they navigated your website, what they bought, what they didn't buy, and what they searched for on your website that you can use to make that experience that much more useful to them and the rest of your customers the next time around. So make sure that you're using that data that you just received to optimize the experience. So Stitch Fix is a subscription clothing company that has personalization based on user data ingrained in their business model. As the founder and CEO has stated, the best way to sell clothing is through personalization. They get to know their product really well, and they get to know their customers really well, and they provide really great recommendations to their customers. And this incredible chart to the left shows the number of active clients that have checked out at least one recommendation in the last 12 months, which has just been soaring up and to the right since the company was founded. And then I'll leave you with 3 other examples of brands using personalization to make their web experience that much more useful to their customers. So Thrive Market has a recommended for you section on their homepage to give users new ideas for purchases based on what people have purchased in the past, as well as their browsing history on the app. Starbucks uses PWA technology to allow users to stay signed in, access this platform from the web, and greets them with a friendly good morning when they open the app. And then Rappi is an online delivery service in LATAM that personalizes their home screen feed based on data to provide users with relevant delivery places near them. So really, the sky is the limit in what you can do to optimize these friction points across your user's journey. But if you take one thing away from this last 10 minutes with me, it's to remember to always be useful. Thank you.